Welcome back to Tofu Tuesday. I'm actually going to share with you today how I can use my feet to prepare some roasted kale chips. We all love chips, but here's a healthy alternative. Let's hope it's healthy. I'm going to go through this recipe and hope you can do the same. You know, I used to be intimidated about cooking. I didn't like how long it took me because it does take longer to use my feet. But my New Year's resolution for 2021 was to stretch myself and to set a goal of learning how to cook and prepare food with my feet. And I think that if I can do it, you can of course do it too. So I encourage you to try this at home, maybe not with your feet, but with your hands of course, and try and do this new recipe, which is pretty simple: roasted kale chips. Now last episode I was preparing the baking sheet and it was not it wasn't very good. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with getting the oven set at 325. I'm gonna turn that on. Bake. 325 is all set. It takes a lot of flexibility to reach up there, the buttons on the oven, and I'll go into details about how it is that I'm able to maintain flexibility, which is of course important for anyone using their feet. Okay, so that baking sheet is right here. Now last time if you didn't see this, check out the very first episode of Tofu Tuesday. It was this big plume of I don't know what, but it was not successful when I tried to spray down the cookie sheet. So this time I have a different technique. If you have other ideas for me, let me know, but I'm going to go ahead and grab the, right over here, grab this can here and show you how it is I did it. Last time I used the cooking spray by turning it at an angle and spraying just like this. But the challenge is this can is not intended to be held at that angle. So what I'm going to do is pop this off first and slide this over so I have some space. I'm going to use the edge here that has nothing on the other end of the island to see if I can spray this down with using both feet this time, not putting the can at an angle. Let's see if this technique will work. Well, it might help if I make sure the nozzle is facing the right direction. Okay, here we go. Let's see if I got this. Hey, there we go. Looks a lot better than before. Comes out a lot better too. So I think that is more like it. So we'll set this aside. And actually I'll keep it right here. And move this out of the way. Okay. Get this out of the way. Okay, and the first thing will be after spraying 2 large rimmed baking sheets, I'm going to go ahead and do one just to save time with non-stick spray. We did that. Toss together kale, oil, salt, and pepper in a large bowl. So I need to go ahead and break up some of the remaining pieces of kale here. Just for all of you, I know some people prefer to use a knife. I like using my toes to break off these pieces here. Throw them in here. We did some work ahead of time for time's sake, as you can tell. We have some prepared. I'm going to go ahead and pull these off pretty fast. Let's do this quickly because I don't want to spend all day here. Here we go. A little bit there. Okay, here we go. Almost. Okay. Whoops, we don't want to leave that. We don't want to put that in there. I'll go ahead and break that off. There we go. And that last piece of kale. Okay. Oh, that was a lot easier than the previous piece. Okay, this is going to be a lot of kale. It'll last us quite a while here. It's a good snack to have around though. Okay, so finished with that. Now it says to go ahead and toss together the kale, oil, salt, and pepper. So I need to go ahead and measure that out right now. And since some of you may be just now joining us, just to fill you all in, I'm learning how to cook with my feet. It's my New Year's resolution for 2021. It's very intimidating. But again, if I can do this, you can do it too. So I encourage you with your own goals. And if it has to do with cooking, maybe you'll learn a couple tips from me, hopefully. Or if you have ideas for me, if you're a pro, let me know. Okay, so let's go ahead and go with 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Okay, here we go. Let me shift this. Okay, here we go. Here is the tablespoon of olive oil.
You haven't measured your kale yet.
Oh, great. See, that's exactly why I have Patrick behind the scenes, because he helps me remember some of the things. I need to first measure that out. So, 8 cups of lightly packed baby kale. And that's Chewy in the background scratching to go out. He's also the vacuum cleaner in the kitchen. He helps with picking up any of the pieces that drop on the floor. Okay, here we go. Pack this on lightly. I have to make sure that I do that lightly. Okay, that looks like a good, here we go. 1 cup. I'm sorry, this is 2 cups. So this is equivalent to 2. So that's 2. We need 4 of these. Okay, a little bit more there. Here we go. 2, so that's 4. This is okay. 6 and 8 cups of lightly packed kale. Okay, now we gotta have 1 tablespoon of olive oil. So let me go ahead and grab the tablespoon. This is a tablespoon. Okay, so olive oil, here we go. Oh, that's an easy cap to twist off. Okay, that's the oven, it's ready. So I better not waste any time here. I'm gonna pour all of this into a bowl here. So let me grab my bowl back out. Oh, never mind, we're gonna just pour it directly into the big bowl. Okay, so 1 tablespoon of olive oil. There we go. Whew, I don't want that to spill, so I'm gonna be very careful about lifting up this tablespoon. And very carefully bring it over here without getting it onto the baking sheet. Okay, there we go. That's going to have to be spread around a little bit better, but that'll be for later. Okay, 1 tablespoon of that, 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt. Okay, so 1/4 teaspoon sea salt. Oh, what? You're gonna have to check out this nifty little device here. This is so cool, but you'll see how it is that I can use this. I'm gonna go ahead and what I do is I pour the salt into these little containers. There may be still some in there. Yeah, there's some in here, but this is a pretty neat device. I'm just gonna show you all. I don't need any in here really, but I wanna show you how cool this device is. So I just turn this over like this, and there's a battery in here. And it pulls the salt out there, just like that. I love it. That's the newest addition to the kitchen. So, 1/4 teaspoon of that. And this is a 1/4, so make sure that that's the right amount. Okay, sprinkle that on. Okie dokie, and next is, let's leave this with a 1/8 teaspoon of black pepper. Well, we have 1/4, so let's go ahead and guess that that's about half of that little measuring spoon here. So we'll do 1/8 teaspoon of the black pepper. Again, we have a neat device here. I know many people like to have fresh ground pepper, so I'm the same way. So let's see how this device works. And plus, we need some more in here anyway, because look, it's kind of somewhat empty. So let's try it out.
Careful, we're getting a lot of peeking.
Oh, come on, there's got to be more in there. Oh yeah, there it goes. Let's give it some time. Well, okay, I think that should be enough. Yes, that's plenty. So we're gonna do basically one of these, basically half of this. So let me scoop that out here. Oh, that's about half. Okay, that's a little, maybe a little bit more. Yeah, let me take a little bit of that out. Okay. Okay, so that's enough, and we'll sprinkle that in there. Okay, next is to have 1 tablespoon of grated Parmesan cheese. Well, that'll be for later, so we'll hold off on that. We're going to toss together the kale, oil, salt, and pepper in the large bowl. And then spread in a single layer on prepared baking sheet, which we prepared the baking sheet earlier. And they're going to roast without stirring until the edges are lightly browned and kale is crisp, and that'll be about 20 minutes. So let me go ahead and toss this together. One of the things I like to do is to have utensils around for tossing, because I prefer not to use my feet in the big bowl. I don't want to have oily toes, because I have to get put my slippers back on and walk on the floor. So here we go. Here is, let's see here. Let me bring out the spoon that I'm going to use for tossing. We'll use a combination of 2 different utensils here, just to toss them. Make sure we get it all mixed up. Okay, and again, if you're just now joining, I just wanted to let you know I'm showing everyone how to make roasted kale chips with your feet. My New Year's resolution is to cook and learn how to prepare food better. I've somehow made it this far in life without doing much food preparation. I've had some luck. I've been lucky to have people like my husband who cook. But anyway, we're gonna do this, and if I can do this, you can do it too. Let's go on. Let's move on here to tossing the kale. Yes, this spoon is very handy, or I should say footy, because there is everything, all the liquid I poured in here is all at the bottom of the mixing bowl. So I'm going to use that in a little bit here if I need to pull that liquid up to the top of the bowl so it mixes in well with all the other pieces of kale. And then once that's finished, we'll put it here on the baking sheet and put that in the oven. It's going to take a while though. So we have to be patient. That's one of the things I'm learning, is I need to be more patient with things. And I've had to learn that from life experience, but I'm going to do that more when it comes to cooking for sure. So let's see here. Patrick, do you have any tossing ideas? Just pull from the bottom.
Yeah, you want to get the stuff off the bottom. Break up any clumps.
Okay. Fortunately, we don't have many clumps, but I might not need the spoon after all. This spatula.
Chewy's inspecting with you.
Yeah, Chewy's over here. Chewy's the assistant in the kitchen. He's making sure everything looks good and smells good.
Could you try the plastic spoon? Because we're doing a lot of peeking with that.
Oh, it is?
Spoon.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll put this aside then. That's becoming distracting. Let's try the plastic. It's going to make noise. It still makes noise. Okay, here we go. A little slower. Maybe I will, I'll intentionally not hit the bottom of the bowl so it doesn't cause the mic to peak. There, is that better?
Yeah.
I think that's close enough here.
Okay.
So.
Just remember you're doing a half batch this time.
Half batch, so we're going to use only half of the amount in this bowl. I think I'm going to use actually the spoon to scoop it out, because lifting up this big mixing bowl is going to be more challenging than just to scoop it out and evenly distribute it on the couple spots that I missed. But it's all good. Hopefully I won't burn the bottom of the baking sheet like I did the previous time. I don't know if you saw that last episode when I made some of that snack mix. Well, I did not spray the sheet very well because I burned the bottom, and it took a lot longer to wash the bottom of that. But hey, that's what happens, right? You're learning to cook. So I'm excited because we're going to have some renovations done to this kitchen. I've always wanted a kitchen kind of somewhat accommodated for me, but not too accommodated because of the fact that Patrick is my husband and he's 6'3" and he loves to cook. So he's the one who enjoys cooking, and hopefully at one point I'll hopefully get to that level of loving cooking. But since he loves to cook, we have to make sure the kitchen is fit for him as well. So we have some accommodations for the kitchen that are not only going to be nice for me, but also for him. And I'm excited about that future renovated kitchen. Okay, I think it looks beautiful. Let's move on to putting it in the oven. It's ready. We heard it go off earlier. So one of the things that I'm going to show you after I pull this out is my special little oven mitt designed for me, but I won't actually need it until I pull it out. So let me go ahead and put this in there for a good 20 minutes. using my chin, it's a lot easier. Okay. Ooh, it's hot in there. Okay, so Alexa, start a 20-minute timer. We'll give that 20 minutes.
20 minutes, starting now.
And we'll just give that some time to cook. And I think after that, it will pretty much be transferred to a serving bowl, sprinkled with cheese and tossed to coat evenly. And then serve at once or let it cool and completely and store it in an airtight container for up to a week. I'm going to go ahead and then prepare some of that cheese that we're going to sprinkle on top when it's finished. So I love cheese. So here we are. And let me get this. Pull this over. I guess I'm going to figure out which side I'm going to use to go ahead and grate some of this cheese. But again, if you're just now joining, I'm showing everyone how to make roasted kale chips with my feet, and I'm encouraging people because my New Year's resolution is to be able to prepare more food and do some more cooking with my toes and my feet. And again, if I can do it, you can do it too. So let's go ahead and start grating this cheese. Okay, so we need a tablespoon of grated Parmesan cheese. I'm not sure which side is going to be, well, obviously the bigger holes are going to be the easiest. So we'll just go with that.
Try the medium holes.
Medium? Okay. Medium, those are small. There we go. No, those are the same. Okay, here are the medium-sized holes right there. And I might use both feet for this so I don't tire out my foot. Okay, and all we need is a tablespoon. So I'm going to start doing that here. Can you all see this? I think you can. It's kind of harder because I'm grating on this side, but here, let me show you with my left foot. That way you can see how this is done. It's pretty straightforward, but I thought I'd show you anyway. Okay.
Just remember, it's straightforward for you because you've had no arms your entire life.
That's true. I kind of just don't even think about that. I don't even think about how I use my feet in a way that is because of the fact that I was born without the arms and the hands to begin with. So since day one, I've learned how to use my feet, and they made that connection. My toes were connected to my brain immediately in the way I explored the world and did everything. So that looks like a good amount. Does that look like a tablespoon?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a good amount of cheese. Put this aside. We still have a lot of time to kill. I would love to get a piece of this, but that'll be for later. So let me put that over there on the chopping board, save that for later. One of the things I love about kale is how healthy it is, and being someone who has to stay fit because of my flexibility needs, it's critical that I definitely always am mindful of my weight because of the fact that I rely on my feet to reach the top of my head like this. And if you can imagine, the more weight I put on, the harder it is to stay flexible. And just the other day, I was noticing how hard it was to reach my left leg, which is less flexible than the right, when I was trying to do something with my hair, and I was starting to be concerned that maybe I had too many sweets over the holiday. But anyway, today's sponsor is me, and I'm excited to say you can visit my website, jessicacox.com. If you know of anyone who would need a speaker for any of their virtual events, right now we're in a pandemic, so we need to do all these speeches virtually, which is great because I'm able to share with everyone, inspire them during a time when it's most important to be resilient and to stay positive. So check out jessicacox.com. And if you want to find out a little bit more about my foundation, which is Right Footed Foundation International, we help people with disabilities through mentoring, education, advocacy, and of course that nonprofit has not been around as long, but it's exciting because we were donated an airplane to share the message of inspiration through aviation, and that was just a year and a half ago now. It's exciting, but it's in the shop right now. It's having some major work done. but I hope to get back in the sky and fly again. And in the meantime, I get to do some cooking here at home and hopefully eating healthy and doing my best to get fit again. Because moving all those controls in the airplane, if you can imagine, is kind of a stretch for me, and it takes a lot of ab work. So anyway, going back to the kale, this is going to be exciting once I'm able to sprinkle some of the cheese on there because I love cheese. Cheese makes everything better, doesn't it? It kind of reminds me of a trip I took to Ethiopia, and we were filming this documentary called Right Footed. If you want to watch it, it's free on Amazon Prime. And the film, one of the cameramen, Bill Megalos, he mentions as we're driving through Ethiopia, he's like, stop! And off in the distance was this little place called the Kale House. And we stopped. Of course, it's not in the documentary, but anyways, we stopped, and he had to get a picture for his wife and daughter. But that just reminds me of my trip to Ethiopia and some of the amazing work we were able to do while we were there in a country at the time that where only less than 3% of children born with disabilities are even allowed to go to school. So at that time, that was how few people with disabilities were able to be included. And we were there to help inspire and bring this powerful message that disability doesn't mean inability. One of the exciting parts was traveling to the Addis Ababa University. I might be pronouncing that wrong. Addis Ababa University. And that's in the capital. And I was able to share this message to a whole room full of probably, what was it, Patrick? Maybe 3,000, 4,000 people?
Yeah, 2,000 or 3,000 people.
And they had press there from every station to get the message out that disability doesn't mean inability. And it was just amazing. Was there anything special about that trip, Pat, that you remember?
Well, you had the U.S. ambassador to Ethiopia there at your event, and other dignitaries and a bunch of people came. It was quite a...
Yeah.
I don't want to say spectacle, but it was quite an event.
Yeah.
To have you there and to have you fly over the Capitol and...
I forgot about that part, so I had to tell everyone about that. So we had a chance to meet with Captain, one of the captains there, famous pilot. He flies for Ethiopian Airlines. He also is a prominent figure in Ethiopia, and he and I went up on a flight and we flew over the capital. And that was amazing because we brought a young boy to the airport that morning who had never left his village. He'd never been in a car before. So someone found out about him and the fact that he was also born without arms. And they picked him up out of his village. He was in a car for the first time in his life. It was, I'm sure, pretty exciting. And then they brought him out to the airport to watch me take off. And this little boy named Tariku, he was 8 years old at the time. Now he's older for sure. But he looked about the age of 5 because he looked pretty small. And he came out to see this, and his mom said afterwards that now he wants to become a pilot. So that was just an amazing, inspirational day to meet with Tariku and his mother and to share with him that not having arms shouldn't limit you from achieving your dreams. And I hope that he's doing well right now. I've been hearing a couple of things back from Ethiopia about Tariku. So that was an exciting part of the trip. Where we found the Kale House, met Tariku, flew, and also obviously spoke at the university. So that was amazing. Any other things about that trip? Do you remember, Pat?
I don't remember what the whole point was.
We wanted to
that education that Handicap International, now known as Humanity and Inclusion. They were there to help promote education, help make schools accessible. What was it? We were there and we visited 5 of the 6 schools.
Yes, that they were working. Yes, they had opened up and had.
And they had only done that in what, a year? Or 2?
So there's no telling how many schools have been.
Yeah, we'll have to contact Micah and find out. Micah, if you're watching this, let us know in the comments.
Amazing work by Humanity and Inclusion, making schools more inclusive. And we went to essentially some of the centers in the schools themselves to see how they're making accommodations for various disabilities. And it was amazing to see the impact education was having on these kids who would have never been even allowed to leave their home. I mean, one young girl we met with, she was 14, and she never left her house. She was essentially hidden at home. I'm sure her family was protective of her because of the stigmas with disabilities, but she also had some mobility challenges, so she wasn't able to walk on her own. And she said, you know, her last words to me is, send your children to school. And I'm sure that's how important schooling is for her, that she wants all children to be able to go to school regardless of their disabilities. And that was a very special moment with her. Okay, how many more minutes do we have? We have 10 minutes left. I'm going to either leave it up to us continuing to talk, or should we go ahead and pull the kale out and see what it looks like?
I have this magic pause button for our audience. You ready?
Yes. And we're back. That's thanks to that jump edit. Of course, that's only because we're pre-recording this because of the fact that the kitchen is being remodeled as we speak. It is being remodeled for accommodations, which is why we were able to do that in the pre-recording. But also, I'm still live again in the comments, so make sure that you interact with me with questions, with comments. I'm still here. I'm just obviously recording this ahead of time. So we have about 1 minute 30 seconds left with the kale in the oven. So I'm going to go ahead and get my oven mitt here, specially designed for me, or modified for me, I should say, because there are, oh, it's over there on the stovetop. Okay, let me grab that, make sure I get that on before I open up the oven here. Okay. So if you have any other ideas for better oven mitts to be used with your toes or your feet, let me know, because this one is pretty neat. It works really well, but it does have only one spot to grip, which is basically the only spot I really need because of the fact that I grip between my big toe and second toe. And it's made for a right foot because I am very right-footed. Okay, we have 46 seconds left, and I'm going to open this up and pull it out and hopefully allow it to, well, we don't need to cool it. We'll go ahead and sprinkle some of that cheese on it. And once we get the cheese on there, I think it should be finished, and we'll allow it to cool completely. So I hope yours comes out beautifully. We have now 20 seconds left. I'm going to go ahead and start to open it because it takes me a little longer to get to that. Chewy, excuse me, I don't want to burn you. Excuse me, Chewy. Chewy, can you move over? I have an assistant over here, little Chewy, Labradoodle. He's helping with getting all the parts and pieces that fall onto the floor, and he's also trying to help me here, but there's just too much heat. Okay, here we go. Alexa, stop. It looks pretty good here. Let's pull this out. Trying to get a good grip on it. It's easier to hold the middle part of it as opposed to the side. Oh, come on. Here we go. Come on. Come on. Well, I know that the kale chips are pretty darn crispy because they're crisping apart right now. Oh, come on. Here we go. Let's see. Here we go. All this heat coming out. Okay, hon. That was hot. I don't know why I lit through the oven mitt, but anyways, that was pretty hot. I'm going to close this back up and turn that oven off. And they look beautiful. They look like they just need the cheese on top. Yeah, and they're already crispy because some of them are already moving around as I was trying to move that up there on top. But thanks again for joining for this episode of Tofu Tuesdays, and we did some roasted kale chips, so hopefully eat these instead of the regular chips that we always love, but I'm sure these are going to taste delicious. Let me sprinkle the cheese on top. I have it here pre-grated. Again, if you're just now joining, this was the episode about the kale chips and my New Year's resolution. So I'm going to bring this over here and sprinkle the cheese on top with my toes. Okay. There we go. I gotta leave some for that next batch. So I'll sprinkle some on top here.
Could you scoot a little to the side?
Sure, so you can see me a little better?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Let me finish this off and then I'll... Okay, let me scoot over here to the left or the right. Okay, here we go. Now hopefully you can see me do the task on one leg. Here we go. Oh, the cheese does smell good. A little bit more here. And voila, it's finished. And we'll let that cool, and can't wait to try that. Thanks everyone. See you next Tofu Tuesday. Have a great week.